Basically, my guitar amp is, the guitar and the amp are the main thing. I'm plugged straight into the Engl amp, playing through one cabinet, and that cabinet is on its side in order to disperse the sound. It's an angle front cabinet. Disperse the sound left and right a little bit. So instead of just these people getting mad, I'm going to get these people and these people.
Spread the joy.
But no, I do try to keep the overall volume as low as absolutely possible. And we've achieved that so far. Last night, that went really, really well. Okay, so the next thing in the chain is the compressor. For rhythm stuff, I without. Helps it get a more spitty sound.
And that looks like a well-traveled Keeley.
Yeah, that's one of the older ones. And then the newest addition is the wetter box, which allows me to fade in reverb or delay, depending on which. Right now I've got them both on. So when I'm playing, this is still the dry cabinet. Mm-hmm. I can fade in some, just enough to. It's going through the effects loop, and what you end up getting with this effects loop is a little bit of a ducking sound, so that if you were at high gain and really picking hard, you would hardly hear the delay. And it comes out better on the lower gain stuff. And that's an interesting thing I'd never discovered, because I always had my delay going through a separate amp. Okay, why through a separate amp? With distortion, the only way to get it to speak out has been for me to go through a separate amp. Otherwise, you're modulating the high gain signal twice, or depending on how many repeats into the amp. So here I have the flashback delays with my tone print. I have one set as short as possible and one set to about 450-500 milliseconds. And when I press down the pedal, you'll hear. Well, maybe make sure. Yeah, okay, you will hear.
Yeah.
You'll hear the tone being added through the wet amp. And that tone that's being added is effect only, no dry. So here. Doesn't change the dry at all.
Yep.
It's simply adding to it. Then I do the same thing with the short delay, and it acts like a chorus. So with. And it's because it's coming through another source, it'll increase the volume. So if you have a part you want to bring out, that was just for that one little lick. I bring it out, and the idea is to bring parts out and then take them back away before the sound man can say, "Hey, wait a minute, I can hear the guitar. Let's bring it down."
Stealth effects. Yeah.
And then I have my presets, which are just basically clean, and it's super clean. I can play my classical guitar through this. It's so clean, and I do. In fact, when we do longer trio sets than we're doing tonight.
Which is interesting, because I typically don't anticipate that kind of tone from an Engl, and yet you're pulling a whole bunch of sounds that I normally don't hear from it.
Well, Horst, the designer, when I heard that channel, I said, "You got to put that in. That's got to be," and then the rock and roll bread and butter channel is right here.
Yep.
The channel 2, and channel 3 gives me more of a extreme mid-range boost. So if like with Purple, I use that a lot, because if I give him more level or more meter when I'm playing a solo, he's just going to say,
right.
Gone. And so by getting a little bit more penetrating sound in the mid-range, because there's no way I can compete on the high end, and there's no way you can hear on the low end, because it's all bass drum. The entire concert is bass drum and vocals with most rock bands. So to find a place, you've got to mess with the mid-range, and that's where this is awesome because there's no active EQ. It's all done with tubes and their reaction with one another, with him, you know, pulling and you know, well, he's got some capacitors and stuff, but it's because it's very organic. It works well and penetrates well and works well when it's loud, too. Whereas some active EQ, when you turn it up, it becomes just harsh and horrible.
Yeah, and we're talking about your Steve Morse signature model 100-watt heads here.
Yes.
And what was the process of designing this like? You know, how long did it take? Was it painstaking?
No, it was great. Horst brought several prototypes to the side of the stage and let me play through it, and then he made a breakout board with knobs so I could try to find the center points to put the tone controls. And as a result, if you go into a music store and you take this amp, plug it into channel 1 or 2, put everything on 6, if it doesn't sound incredible, something's wrong with your cord. You know, get a new cord. Try it again, and it will.
And it will. Okay, cool. And always on up here is a Hall of Fame and a flashback as well. So,
Yeah.
and those are going through the wetter box.
Yeah, with
Those are
my,
controlled by
they
the
let me
wetter box.
make my own tone prints. There's millions of them on, you know, that
Yes.
you can choose from.
Yes, excellent. Cool. Now, you've also got a guitar synth on the floor here.
Yes.
And you've got a pickup for it at the end of your guitar. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, for some songs we do in the trio,
The Steve Morse Band.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So-
okay. No sweat. That's
just
beautiful, elegant.
And I use it a lot for stuff like playing a melody. So one of the ways that I get around the tracking errors is to have a generous envelope start. None of my sounds go,
Yeah.
you know, with a hard edge, because that's where you're really going to hear those problems. So, you know, a lot of what I do is massaging and working with limitations, like with my right hand limitations and stuff like that. And there's always limitations with synths, at least the way I play.
Well, and also with your delays too, it seems that you have this intimate understanding of all of your gear, and that's a beautiful thing. You know, and it's something that I think everybody should strive for.
Oh yeah, yeah. With anything, your car, your whatever you work with, you need to understand the flow and the order of so you can troubleshoot.